जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna and welcome back. Thank you for joining. Today we are discussing verse number 23 of chapter number 2 from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And in the previous verse, verse number 22, Krishna explains to Arjuna that as a person puts on new garments, giving up the old ones, the soul similarly accepts a new material body, giving up the old and useless one. So when the body is no more useful, as we see in this example, the person is born and gradually growing, and when the person becomes completely old and the body becomes useless, what does the soul do? It gives up the body. As we change dress, it gives up the body and then takes a new dress or a new body and then continues its journeys. So for a soul, death is simply like a change of clothes or change of dress. And in this verse, Krishna is now telling Arjuna that those things that destroy the body will not be able to destroy the soul. That is the amazing thing about the soul. So let's discuss verse number 23, chapter 2, verse 23. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayanti apo, na shoshayati marutaha. So Krishna says, na enam chindanti shastrani, the first line. So this is same na iti or neti technique which Krishna has already used in the earlier verse. He used that technique in the verse na jayate na mriyate va kadachin. So that neti technique, not this, it's the soul is not like this, the soul is not like that, etc., etc. So that same technique Krishna is using in this particular verse. So Krishna is saying, na enam chindanti shastrani. Shastra means the weapons. So chindanti means you cannot cut the soul into pieces using any shastra. So because Arjuna was a warrior, he had various different kinds of shastras. But Krishna is telling here that your shastras, any of your shastras cannot cut the soul into any pieces. Then second line, Krishna is saying, Nainam dahati pavakaha. So pavakaha means fire and dahati means burn. So Krishna is saying that you cannot burn the soul. Then nachainam kledayanti apo. Apo means water. So the water cannot moisten the soul. And na soshayati marutaha. So marutaha means wind, and the wind actually cannot wither or dry the soul. So these are four things Krishna is describing to Arjuna. And since Arjuna and all of us have reference of the body, so Krishna in this reference to the body, like the body can be cut into pieces, the body can be burned by fire, the water can moisten our body, and the wind can dry our body. So these are the four different elements, that are four different things that can touch the body or destroy the body. But it actually cannot touch the soul or cannot do anything to the soul. So soul is spiritual in nature. So Krishna telling Arjuna that no matter what arrows you are likely to use, like Agni Astra or Vayu Astra or Varunastra or Indrastra, even up to Brahmastra, nothing is going to kill the soul. So do not worry. And then when Arjuna is going to shoot the arrows, it may kill the body of his enemy, but the soul is going to continue its journey into the next body. Now let us see what Srila Prabhupada is discussing in the purport. So in the purport, first point, Prabhupada says that weapons cannot kill the soul. So all kinds of weapons like sword, flame weapons, rain weapons, tornado weapons, etc., etc., are unable to kill the spirit soul. And then Prabhupada talks about different kinds of weapons during Mahabharat war. It appears that there were many kinds of weapons made up of earth, water, air, ether, etc., in addition to the modern weapons of fire. So in those days, there were many different kinds of weapon available. Now mostly the weapons of today are made up of the fire weapons. So let's read about that. Weapons of the modern age. Even the nuclear weapons of the modern age are classified as fire weapons. But formerly there were other weapons made up of all different types of material elements. So the current weapon, the understanding is that there is lot of energy in the atoms. And then we tap the energy of the atoms for good or bad purposes. So basically we are manipulating the energy in the atoms. So mostly all the weapons that are available today is fire weapons. So the weapons in the past were not like that. So those weapons were linked to the devatas, and the devatas, they are superior beings, and they can give us power to create something like a tornado. And with appropriate tapasya and worship, when the jiva can actually manipulate the prakriti for its purpose, and the purpose is of it can be used for technology purpose, or it can build the atomic weapons, etc., etc. But the same jiva can approach the devatas. So this was the earlier concept. The warriors, they used to pray to the devatas, and because the devatas have greater power, and when the devatas were satisfied, then the devatas can empower those souls. So when the devatas are satisfied by our tapasya, then they can empower us. And then by using this empowerment which is received from the devatas, then we can control the material nature. So basically we are depending on the devatas for getting our resources. So this is how the warriors during the early times, they used to surrender themselves to these higher beings, and then the higher beings will provide them with weapons like Vayu Astra, Indra Astra, Lord Shiva's Astra. And even this Astra, Krishna is saying, that none of these weapons can destroy the soul. Because why it can't destroy the soul? So that will be discussed in the later verses also, but already Krishna has discussed a part of it, that the soul is eternal, and having all these characteristics, it cannot be destroyed. So let's continue with the purport. So again, even the nuclear weapons of the modern age are classified as fire weapons, but formerly there were other weapons made up of different kinds of material elements. Fire weapons were encountered by water weapons, which are now unknown to the modern science. So we are trying to find these weapons or build these weapons on our own. But earlier the help was taken from the devatas. Nor do modern scientists have knowledge of the tornado weapons. So these tornado weapons, these are the weapons received from the devatas, and that could cause havoc in the war. So conclusion, Prabhupada is saying that the soul cannot be annihilated by weapons. Nonetheless, the soul can never be cut into pieces nor annihilated by any number of weapons, regardless of scientific devices. So this is the power of the soul. The soul is eternal, and none of these weapons can even touch the soul. Next point Srila Prabhupada brings is the failure of Mayavadi to explain the following. So the Mayavadis cannot explain how the individual soul came into existence simply by ignorance and consequently became covered by the illusory energy. So we have discussed this point regarding the Mayavad, that Brahma Satya, everything is actually Brahman, and then somehow or other the Brahman comes in contact with Maya. So this is a point being talked about here, that how the Brahman comes in contact with Maya and it is covered by the illusory energy. So that is unknown. So this cannot be explained by the Mayavadi philosophers. Nor was it ever possible to cut the individual soul from the original supreme soul. So Krishna is explaining this point in the previous verses, that Krishna is eternal and all of us are eternal. So there is no time that the soul was cut from Krishna and then it became independent soul. There was no time like that. Rather, the individual souls are eternally separated part and parcel of the supreme soul. So these are the things that cannot be explained by the Mayavad. What is the correct understanding about the position of the soul? So that Prabhupada writes, because they are atomic individual soul, eternally Sanatan, they are prone to be covered by illusory energy, and thus they become separated from the association of the Supreme Lord. So the soul separates from this, they are actually eternally separate from the Lord, but because they are eternally separate from the Lord, there is a tendency of the soul to be covered by Maya. So that happens when the soul doesn't want to serve the Lord. At that time, the soul is given a covering of Maya, so that the soul can enjoy independent of the Lord. So that is how the soul is separated or becomes separate. Analogy. The example is given to explain this point, that just as the spark of the fire, although in quality with the fire. So here we see the fire is consisting of innumerable sparks, and this sparks, when one of the spark it comes out of the fire, till the time it is within the fire, it has all the properties of the fire. But as soon as one of the spark it gets out of the fire, then what happens? Then it it loses its characteristics. So Prabhupada says that just as the spark of the fire, although one in quality with the fire, are prone to be extinguished when out of fire. So when the spark gets out of the fire, it gets extinguished. Similarly, when the living entity is in association with the Lord, it retains all its spiritual energy, spiritual form. But as soon as this spark like soul is lost the touch with the Supreme, it is covered with Maya, and it basically gets extinguished. And this Prabhupada is talking with on the basis of scripture, so he is giving the reference. In the Varaha Purana, the living entities are described as separated parts and parcel of the Supreme. They are eternally so, according to Bhagavad Gita also, right? So Krishna is explaining right in the beginning about this particular thing, that they are eternal part and parcel of the Lord. So even after being liberated from illusion, the living entity remains in separated identity, as it is evident from the teachings of Lord to Arjuna. So this spark, when it comes out of the fire, then it is extinguished. But as soon as we put that spark back into the fire, it gets again the fiery characteristics. So similarly, when the soul is liberated, means it comes in contact with the Lord and it understands its spiritual position and everything, its relationship with the Lord, then what happens? Then it again basically gets its qualities back. So that is the point being explained here. So what happened after Arjuna received this knowledge? So when somebody receives this transcendental knowledge, they become liberated. They again retain their spiritual qualities. So Arjuna became liberated by the knowledge received from Krishna. So when Arjuna received the knowledge from Krishna, after that what happened? But he never became one with Krishna. So he never merged with Krishna. So as the Mayavadi philosophy says that the soul merges with the Brahman. That is their form of liberation. Here the liberation means Arjuna retained his knowledge. He got liberated after understanding his position. But then he continued to remain separate from Krishna. In the sense, he will never merge back with Krishna. So that is the point, that the soul never merges back to the Supreme Soul or Krishna. They retain their individual identity even after when they are liberated. So these are the points that are discussed in the purport and put in the presentation form. You can study it later, and then we'll continue with the future verses, where it is explained that the weapon cannot destroy the soul, and why it cannot destroy the soul. That is explained in the future verses. So we'll continue those in the future sessions. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Bol.